Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. I'm really excited about today's guest because I don't understand exactly what she does, and it sounds so cool, and I'm so excited to learn more. Nikki Roberson, she's a certified holistic esthetician and a health coach. And, you know, we've heard about holistic medicine. I've had guests on before, but I can't wait to hear about holistic skincare and what that means for us. She's been doing it for 30 years. She's got a killer Instagram. We're going to talk about that. She gives all kinds of tips and things on that. So Nikki, let's dive right in. Welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me on to your podcast. I'm glad to be here. It's exciting. I love spreading the word.
I know, it's awesome. So you've been doing this for 30 years. Have you always been this holistic esthetician, or is this something that you evolved into?
So it's an interesting journey that I've been on. I feel like I've always incorporated holistic skincare and those types of treatments, but it hasn't been until maybe the last 5 years that I got more into, well, there's a lot more to the health of the skin than just the skin. And so the whole idea of holistic means incorporating everything in, everything within the body, the environment, the spiritual realm, the social realm. All of those things impact you and as a result impact your skin. So without taking those things into a complete understanding, you can only go so far when you want to make improvement, because you have to find root source of issues. And also, what was the other word I came up with the other day? It was not just root source, but also the root of help. Because root source to me sometimes is, well, we're looking for the root source of the problem, but also let's look to the root source of the solutions. All of how do we get back to the most effective things that we can incorporate in our bodies and in all the other realms to help us. So my journey went from skin to more, then I went into holistic health coaching. Then I also started incorporating inner mouth massage, fascia work, muscle work, understanding the bones and how they work, because all of that impacts the skin. And there's a lot of myths out there that I like to debunk.
Yeah. And it's a fascinating journey that I've been on. My listeners know this. I recently started working with a functional health medical doctor, and it's changed my life. And actually my husband just texted me this morning. He's out of town and he went with me, and 3 months ago got off all his medications, his statins, everything. And his numbers are phenomenal. Like he's never seen numbers this low. I'm like, oh my gosh. And understanding that holistic, which I didn't know any of this, is like you just said, it's looking at the whole picture. So let's talk about, you just talked about bones and mouth and, and I'm constantly skincare, putting things on, as we get older, it's serums and creams. And so let's talk about how we can take care of our skin from all aspects.
Right. Well, first thing that we have to understand is, how is the skin supported? What is the structure? So we have the bones of the face, and then we have the muscles of the face. We have circulation, which brings forth hydration, nutrients, and oxygenation of the tissues. Then we have lymphatic fluid flow, which is the detoxification of the tissues. Then how our mind impacts things. So, for example, if you have forward shoulder posture, forward head posture, quite often this is because we're weighed down in the world. We're not focused. We're not present in our day, and everything starts to come down. And so how does that affect the skin? Well, first of all, major lymph nodes are throughout the face, but all the lymph system in the body eventually makes its way in through here, the terminus, and that's the detoxification of the tissues. So whenever we have bacteria, viruses, fungus, cellular waste, our body needs to get rid of it. That's what lymphatic fluid does. Now, if we have forward head posture, now this is crimped here. What also is crimped here is we have our carotid artery, which brings circulation up, hydration, nutrition, oxygenation. So right there, we are now slowing down what the body can do to help this area. And let's not forget, what's up here is our brain.
That thing.
Yeah, that thing. So then
really
we're not getting good detoxification of the brain, which can lead to different issues in the future. Alzheimer's, all different headaches, things of that nature. So understanding, well, my bones need to be in a good place. My muscles need to be mobile, not tight. Then we have fascia. Fascia is a new field of discovery that has just it's been around for ages, but they're really starting to focus and understand that fascia has more communication going on in it than our nerve system does. Or a nerve
and what
wiring.
What is fascia?
There we go, right? What is fascia? Do you ever make a Thanksgiving chicken and you're stuffing the butter up underneath the skin and you come across all of these little things that are connecting the skin to the meat? That's one part of fascia. But fascia actually it connects the skin, it holds muscles in place, it goes in and out of bones, in and out of organs. It can be liquid, it can be viscous, it can be like a rubber band. So fascia is your connective tissue in your body, and it basically holds the communication that the brain makes to all of these different things, and it holds the memory of them. So for example, if you get in a car accident and your head goes, fascia will now create almost like Spider-Man webs to hold the head while it heals. But then it continues to hold it even after it heals. And so then that's where we have mobility issues because the connective tissue is so tight. So fascia is really a key thing when we're talking about aging and the face, because it helps us when we are in trauma, but then we have to learn how to release that trauma in the fascia so that we still have mobility, room between the tissues for good circulation and lymphatic fluid flow, which basically are the lifeblood of what we're doing to stay alive.
So is that stretching? Is that, I mean, you've already talked about just to keep your posture good is step one. And then what do we do for the fascia? Is it foods that we eat?
So this is the key, is getting in touch with the body. And so by moving it. So moving the face, doing face yoga exercises that help to, the purpose for me of face yoga is that it helps put you in touch with your body. It helps you to do maybe different repetitive motions that are helpful instead of a hindrance. So a lot of times we but we mimic our people that are close to us and we do their facial expressions. Maybe you might have somebody that does this a lot. So now this is your facial expression that you're mimicking. And what happens over time is these muscles get tight and the fascia helps you remember, oh, this is what we normally do. So we're going to put a highway there. So then we get wrinkles and then less mobility, less space. We start to get accumulation of fluids in through the pockets that is due to lymphatic fluid not making its way down to here. We tend to get more wrinkles. We get hyperpigmentation because we're not getting the circulation there as well. And so we don't get cell turnover as proper. And then when you don't get cell turnover, it slows down. We get more crepey looking skin because we don't have oxygenation, hydration, and nutritional delivery to those tissues as well. Sometimes hyperpigment, like I'll see people, they'll do this a lot with their lips. And it's tight. We don't get good circulation and lymphatic fluid flow there. And there's less space. And so then they'll sometimes get hyperpigmentation around the mouth. So what we have to do is we have to stretch, understand our movement, understand our repetitive habits, get to see those, change them, stretch where it's tight, feel your face and understand, oh, I'm really tight here. So a lot of people clench their teeth. And so then the masseter muscle gets tight here. This gets really tight. Then we get accumulations of fluid here or issues in the central part of the face. Another thing to understand is your tongue. Your tongue is an extremely important part of the body when it's weak, when it's not touching the top of the mouth. This tends to drop. Then the face draws in, and over time the teeth go in, and we don't have enough space in the mouth anymore. We become mouth breathers instead of nose breathers. Start to get sleep apnea and snoring at night. So I incorporate all of those types of things when I'm trying to understand what's going on with this person's face. Why is the skin looking, all to find out why is the skin looking this way? So I bring it to the beauty aspect.
What's the tongue exercise? How do we make our tongue stronger?
Well, that's a great question. There's a lot of different tongue exercises that we can and should do. So first of all, there's mewing, where you want to take the back of your tongue, press it up against the roof of the mouth. And then you can see here as I do this.
And people are listening. So, we have both. So you can watch this to really see it, or you can see she's kind of touching her neck to feel.
Okay. So where the neck meets how the jawline goes in, right here, this is the hyoid bone. We have the hyoid muscles in through here. And so when our tongue is in the right place in our mouth, it should, if you can picture like your hand in front of you and then bring your other hand and it's directly touching it, no space. It's not like this. It's not like the tip of the tongue is just touching or just the middle of the tongue. We want the whole tongue aligned at the roof of the mouth, just behind the ridge that's right behind the teeth. And that's where your tongue should sit at rest. And when it does that, it also helps with your posture. It also helps with your breathing. It helps you to breathe through your nose. So that's one of the exercises, is just practicing placing the middle of your tongue up and back. The middle and back of your tongue up against the roof of the mouth and doing like 10 reps. And then after you're done with the 10 reps, holding for 10. And then you can repeat that like six sets. So that tightens up here. That's one tongue exercise. Another exercise that can be done is grasping your hands behind your back and then looking up and bringing your tongue up, pointed.
So stick your tongue out to the sky.
Yeah. We used to say to the kids, young kids, don't stick your tongue out. And actually, they're doing great exercise for their mouths by sticking their tongue out. That's another one, is sticking the tongue out and then bringing the point of the tongue down towards your chin.
Isn't that fascinating that could really affect, ladies, this is how we get rid of our wrinkles. We stick our tongue out at our husband. I said, no, I have to do this. It's an exercise.
I love it. That's great. But as you do it, you'll find that the jaw is better aligned, and then these muscles up in the cheekbones are better too. Let me think. Okay, and then your jaw. Let's talk about the movement of the jaw. So the jaw you can drop your jaw. You can go side to side with your jaw. You can hold the mandible and then go up with the maximal. And then forward and back.
And what does that do? That's all for wrinkles down.
Well, no, that's I'm just telling you all the different ways that your jaw can move. And the problem is that sometimes we have tendencies to maybe chew on one side more often, or we sleep on one side, or we just make facial expressions where we're going more to one side. And over time, we get asymmetry. And so the bones become out of whack. And as a result, you can get TMJ. But usually what happens, like face-wise, is I have some clients that I'm working with the whole face is like in on this side and out on the other. And it starts to affect their teeth. They lose their teeth. It affects their eyes. So working on, what I like to have people focus on is make sure you have good posture. Make sure your tongue is in the roof of your mouth, that your jaw is symmetrical in its movement. And I teach exercises on what does that look like. For me, you can put a little cork in your mouth and go forward and back with your jaw. You can go side to side. And that symmetrically helps to create more space. Then
is that before or after you have the glass of wine?
Probably before.
I'm making a great list here, Nikki. I love this. This is all part of the process.
That's another thing to understand, though. A glass of wine is great. More than a glass of wine. Here's how it affects your skin. It immediately goes into the bloodstream, and the body doesn't like to have that form of glucose in its bloodstream, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier as well. So what the body does is it changes it, and then the way the body changes that wine when it gets in your bloodstream, those molecules go to your collagen and elastin fibers and basically grab onto them. And so something that might used to look like a coil that's nice and bouncy now looks like a rod and falls over, and you can get cross-linked wrinkling. I'm not talking about the glass of wine. I'm talking about multiple glasses of wine. So not to spoil the party.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So let's talk about hydration, though, because you mentioned that earlier. And I've had lots of guests on, talking about start your day with a glass of room temperature water to get your metabolism going. Put lemon and cucumber in throughout the day so that it keeps you drinking more. What do you recommend?
Oh, definitely. I think that especially if you're using a reverse osmosis water purifier in your house, that basically takes out your minerals. And so we do need to incorporate those additional things into our water. Spring water is great as well. Really what we're looking for is that water to be alive. When that water is alive, when it's charged, your cells can then absorb it better. So with the trace minerals in it, it's like a chemical equation. When the cells are in a certain place, it sucks that hydration in. When they're not, it doesn't. And like I was saying before, with hydration, yes, you can take in a lot of water, but you do have to be mindful of your water consumption, because water also requires the minerals for it to process in your body. So if you're putting water in without minerals, you can deplete your mineral content in your body. So always make sure that you're drinking like a spring-fed water or applying some trace minerals to it. But then we also have to understand that in order for water to get throughout the body, we have to have good mobility and space between our tissues. So if you have an aching shoulder that you have stopped moving it because it's aching, the hydration of those tissues is going to decline over time. So mobility and space in the tissues is key for delivery of hydration, nutrients, and oxygenation.
And when you're talking about movement, is that exercise? Is that stretching?
Yes, stretching.
What can we do? Stretching.
Strength is key. So some type of strength, and even just using your body weight to build strength is key. But stretching like Pilates, yoga, excellent because they stretch out the muscles. It creates more space. We get better fluid flow of circulation and lymphatics.
Okay. All right. I have a question. I don't know if you can help with this, but this is my new thing now is the crepey skin that all of a sudden, like here in my arms, it's like, what is that? I have never had that before in my life. And my doctor's like, there's really nothing you can do about that. Put some lotion on, but
blah, blah, blah.
Give me a magic answer.
Mobility. So if you're having crepiness here, mobility and nutrient deficiency. So you can actually, if you're going to a functional medicine doctor, you can have them do a trace mineral test for you, and they can tell you what your trace mineral, vitamin spread is in your body and where you may be deficient. And then you can boost that up with food or supplementation. The other thing is mobility. So when you start to see crepiness in areas, address the nutritional deficiencies, and then also look for exercises that help to stretch out the joints, because what we're really looking at, not just the joints, but we're looking to stretch the fascia. And a lot of us over time get forward shoulder posture. We also wear bras that constrict the flow of lymphatic fluid. So when you take your bra off at night, do a nice little lymphatic drainage there to help move that tissue, because basically it's an accumulation of toxins in the skin, not enough circulation, delivery to it. Yeah. So those things.
What are your lymphatic areas? Because I know this is hard. People are listening, and we're doing a lot of demonstrations, and you were kind of rubbing under your arm. But
sure.
Where should we rub before we go to bed? Like
okay. Neck, and also, I'd like to mention I have a YouTube channel where I have a whole bunch of videos that run through how to do lymphatics for the face, how to do it for the upper body, how to do it for the lower body.
Oh, amazing. What is your YouTube channel?
It is Nikki, Nikki _R _face it. The same as my Instagram and my TikTok. Nikki
awesome.
_R.
All be in the show notes. And face it is like your face and then IT.
Yeah. It's kind of a play on words. It's not just the face, but it's really to face everything that's going on and understand it. So what are lymphatics? So if you can picture capillaries everywhere in your body, next to all the capillaries are lymphatic vessels. So the capillaries deliver circulation, or not circulation, they deliver fluids, blood, plasma to the tissues to bring hydration, nutrition, and oxygenation. And then they take some of it back, but some of the fluid stays around, and then that is absorbed through the lymphatic vessels, which are right next to the capillaries. So we have these little vessels everywhere in our body. And then we have bigger nodes that collect the fluids. And it's kind of like security check at the airport. Not everybody gets pulled aside and patted down. The lymphatic system is where you go when you're getting patted down. And it just kind of views the fluids and says, where are we? Do we have cancer cells? Do we have viruses, bacteria? And within that fluid, or within the lymph nodes, we have those things that help fight all of that. So that's where the body works to get rid of cancer, get rid of viruses that are bacteria that are attacking the body. It's how the body gets rid of the waste that a cell has. You've probably heard of antioxidants and free radicals. So when those guys go to war, there is what's left. And so that goes that gets deposited into your interstitial fluids and into the surrounding of the cells. And then the lymph goes in and sucks it up. Actually, it doesn't suck it up. It's like a pressure thing. Once the pressure builds, there's a lot of it. The trap door on the vessels open up and the fluid goes in. And eventually it makes its way up to these two places. So everywhere. So if you were to go down from your ears and find your collarbone, there's like a little V there. That is your terminus. That's where all of the lymphatic fluid terminates in the body. and then goes into a final cleansing and then basically goes back into your bloodstream. So lymph fluid is basically plasma that has left the building. It's in the tissues, and then it's sucked back up into the lymphatic vessels. And so where are they? Usually in your joints. If you're going to look for where do I have a pooling of lymphatic nodes, you'll find them underneath the arm, elbow. You'll find them at the crease of the hands. You'll find them in the groin. A huge amount of them are right. If you take your finger, one finger at your belly button and one at below your rib cage and go in between that, there's a huge amount of lymphatic vessels right there that when you breathe correctly, diaphragmatically correct, pushes on that, which helps with lymph and also digestion. So they're basically, think of the joints of your body, and that's where a lot of them are. When you get up into the face, it's down the side of the neck from the ear. It's from the chin over to the ear. It's down the side of the nose, around the mouth. And then the nape of the neck are some major lymph nodes back there. So right where the skull meets the neck, huge place for where the brain drains. You have lymphatics around the eyes. So basically, the larger nodes are in joints and then in those places that I just talked about on the face.
And you just rub, you tap, what do you do?
Oh, so that's a great question. So when you're working with lymph nodes, lymph vessels, they're just right below the surface. And so there is a methodology on how to work them. You have to use a very light touch, as if you were moving a quarter across the skin. And certain nodes have to be basically manipulated first. So, for example, I'll give a visual. Traffic jam, and here's a light. The car that's in the back of the line can't go through the light until all the cars in front of it go through the light. It's the same thing with lymph fluid. If we're stuck here at the neck, then the rest of the lymph on the face is not going to make its way down until we clear the neck, the jawline, the nose, the back of the head. And so there is a progression to where you rub first, how lightly you rub, and then where you rub next. And I was just showing some of the manipulations that you do when you're
and that's
moving
all on
lymph.
your YouTube.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And I have that also on my Instagram. I have that under my highlights, how to just do it for the face. I might have that on my Instagram, but on my YouTube, how to do it for the face, upper body, and the lower body.
Well, you have a huge following on Instagram, so I know you're sharing really great stuff that people love. All right, let's talk about myths, because I know that's a big thing. You want to bust anti-aging myths. So
Yes.
Give us a couple.
Oh, some things that I hear all the time. I don't want to stretch my skin. Because when people see us doing face yoga, they're like, oh, I'm going to stretch my skin and it'll be saggy. And it's like, no, we're not working. We're working on muscles. So I do different types of work. I go deep and to the bone, and we work on stretching fascia. And sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, my skin's already saggy. I don't want it to be saggy anymore. And it's like, well, no, this is going to help actually improve it. Some of the other myths that I like to debunk are, so when do you need Botox? And so let's get to the root understanding of why we have forehead lines. We have forehead lines because the back of the neck is tight and the center of the head. These muscles, the frontalis muscles, are tight. And so when you raise your eyelids, this muscle that's from the brows up to the hairline, the frontalis muscle, accordions basically. And so what people do is they get Botox to stop that muscle from moving. But unfortunately, then now that muscle tends to deteriorate over time. And then we also don't we lose that connection to our bodies as, well, I'm no longer having this accordion, which is nice. But the problem is we still have this, what's going on back here and what's going at the back of the neck and what's going on at the top of the head, which are going to affect other things in the body, the eyes over time, and then the drain of lymphatic fluid down from the forehead into the nose area. And then we're going to have more tightness on the forehead, which is going to result over time in more fluid buildup and issues in through the nasal cavities. So that's a myth I like to debunk, that is anti-aging, because I actually don't believe. I think what that is anti-movement of that particular muscle, but over time, I don't believe that's anti-aging. What other some other myths? Do we have to exfoliate? The reason why you have to exfoliate is because you're not getting proper circulation and lymphatic fluid flow through your tissues. If you were, you would never have to exfoliate because the body does that on its own. So that's another focus or myth, I believe. So I feel like a lot of the beauty things out there focus on symptoms, but not really the root cause of what's causing them. So,
which brings us full circle to holistic. What it is, it's everything. It's like everything. I said, it's not just
understanding how your body works and seeing where it's off and being able to make change.
Yeah. No, this is great. And you have so many great resources. Share this with your friends so they could, check out the YouTube channel of everything in the show notes and Instagram. You give so much great advice and it makes sense. This is like I talked to my functional medicine doctor as he explains things. It makes sense. What you're saying makes sense. So now I just have to work on some things. So I wrap up every episode with the same questions. What's the greatest thing you've accomplished since you've turned 50?
In 2017, I moved from Utah to Florida and had to rebuild my entire business and refocus on what it was going to be and started from scratch. I knew 2 people in Florida. And so I built my business into a large or a very successful salon environment, and then an online presence that has helped me to reach out to people all over the world. So that's been my biggest success in the last 7 years.
Awesome. And then where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Even in the next 10 years, I want to have the resources out there for everybody to make it so easy that they can step into better health and better vibrancy just by being able to plug into the resources that I've created for them.
Yeah. And knowledge is power. Just learning these little things.
It is. Self-love and knowledge are powerful. They are. And vibrancy is key. Don't focus on anti-aging. Focus on creating vibrancy in the life. One will keep you going and young. The other one, well, we all die, but might as well go out vibrant and looking great.
Oh, that's a perfect way to end this. Thank you so much, Nikki. All of Nikki's information is in the show notes. Make sure you share this with other women because we all need to learn about this. And it was just such an amazing half hour. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine. I really appreciate you having me on and allowing me to spread the word.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.